This is Tavis Smiley. I'm delighted to have you tuned into our program today. We are celebrating the fact that the syndication of this program continues to expand. And today we are now heard officially on WVON 1690 AM in one of my favorite cities, Chicago. How thrilled am I now to have on the line for a brief conversation. He's a busy brother, the mayor of Chicago, Brandon Johnson. I told y'all months ago, even though the polls said otherwise at one point, Brandon Johnson was going to win this race. He did, and I am honored now to call him the mayor of the city of Chicago. Mayor Johnson, how are you today, sir?
Hey, I'm doing well, Tavis. Thanks for having me on, and congratulations on your expansion, particularly City of Chicago, WVON. You know the history of WVON and its longstanding commitment to Black liberation going back 50-plus years. So congratulations, brother.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Let me start with the obvious. How are things going? How are they treating you at this point?
Well, certainly there's an expectation and standard for Black leadership, as you well know. But there's a great deal of excitement and energy that, still exists in the city of Chicago. What I will say briefly, though, is, there's a tug of war right now between anxiety and fear and hopes and aspirations. And, my job is to continue to get the people of Chicago the pull in the appropriate direction of hope and aspiration. But that anxiety and fear is something that's real, and we're working to address that every single day.
What's that tug of war about, Mayor Johnson?
Yeah, well, look, historically, particularly within Black Chicago, I mean, the history goes back to when, obviously Dr. King visited. And what's remarkable, though, about the time that Dr. King spent in Chicago, to be on the fifth floor as mayor of the city of Chicago. And I know the very room that's next to me, Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. was actually in that room meeting with Old Man Daley, Richard J. Daley. And so, the struggle for housing, for transportation, education, healthcare, all of the public accommodations that those of us who are descendants of slaves are deeply connected to, that there's still lots to be desired there. And then you couple that with the immediate challenge that we also have of this global population shift that is the result, of course, of failed policies that have been enacted over the course of generations. And so it's the hope and aspirations of electing someone like me who comes out of the labor movement, the faith community, working class family, and then you couple that with this global dynamic of population shift that has exacerbated the anxiety that exists in Chicago. Will there be enough for everyone? And that is really the challenge that we have right now, but it's not one that I believe we can overcome.
As you well know, across the nation, and people, certainly those on the right, want to make an example out of any particular city when it comes to gun violence. They use the city of Chicago, and they often refer to it as a war zone, and that's one of the kindest terms I've heard said about the city of Chicago. You know how this city is viewed around the nation. What say you about that debate, about that frame that Chicago has always put in?
Well, it's certainly not true. I mean, we certainly have our challenges like anywhere else in this country. Tavis, you know this, that, as far as violence per capita, the city of Chicago is not even ranked in the top 20. I mean, there are red states that have, these dynamics, but the characterization of Chicago certainly predates me because of just the historical dynamics that have existed in Chicago for a very long time. But, we just got some recent numbers that the month of September, though we still have a lot of work to do, it's the least amount of homicides we've had in 9 years for the month of September. And shootings are down, homicides are down. We're still dealing with robberies and carjackings. I mean, these are dynamics that we're still confronting. But the reality is that we have seen a population growth. We have Google that has planted their investments here. A good brother, Quentin Primo, who is leading that charge. It's one of the number one locators that young workers say that they want to have as their destination, the city of Chicago. We just expanded the largest Black-owned steel company in the city of Chicago. Just past Labor Day, flights inside of Chicago were up 7-8%. I mean, our hotels are certainly being utilized. The numbers continue to demonstrate the economic prowess and growth of our city. And part of my responsibility, of course, is to continue to highlight and lift up the fact that this is the greatest city in the world, and that all of our economic indicators continue to demonstrate that. And as much as we're down shootings and murders, we still have a lot of work to do. The numbers we got just for the month of September, again, the least amount of homicides we've had in 9 years. We're certainly headed towards a better, stronger, safer Chicago because we're all pulling in the right direction.
I've got just 2 or 3 minutes left with you, and I appreciate your time. I know you're busy. Speaking of the airport, I've been to Chicago, been through there a couple of times since you've been mayor, and I must tell you, your voice sounds pretty cool popping through the airport. When I'm walking through, I feel welcome just passing through the airport, hearing your voice on the loudspeaker, so thank you for that, number one. Number two, in the context of the legacy of what it means to be mayor of the city of Chicago, you follow a brilliant man named Harold Washington. I've told you before in our private conversations, when I was a student at Indiana University, I had the chance to go up to Chicago as a student and work on Harold Washington's successful campaign. But with that guy in the backdrop, how do you see your role as mayor of the city of Chicago, a brother from the West Side, no less?
Well, certainly Mayor Harold Washington has given me, a real strong foundation in the entire movement that elected the first black mayor of the city of Chicago, a strong foundation to rest on. And what we've been able to do effectively because of just that example, we're literally bringing people together. And so for the first time in the history of Chicago, we have a black vice mayor, a black finance chair, a black budget director, my deputy mayor for education, black, our deputy mayor for community safety, first time in the history of Chicago, black, our deputy mayor for economic development and neighborhood development, black woman, also a West Sider. That ain't why she got the job, but it certainly did help that she's a West Sider. And so we've done all this, Tavis, and this is the part that's brilliant because this is what Mayor Harold Washington was able to effectively have done. Though we have a number of black people in key leadership positions, we also have more brown people in leadership positions. And so black liberation doesn't come at the expense of anyone else losing. Mm-hmm. We have the most diverse city council, more diverse than when Mayor Harold Washington won. And so we stand on the shoulders of Mayor Harold Washington. And the last thing that I'll say is our commitment to youth employment and building out public accommodations, everything from a publicly ran grocery store. We just had a great conversation about extending guaranteed income, of which 70% of the pilot programs were black women. We just increased the number of young people that we hired over the summer, a 20% increase from last year. 64% of those who worked this summer in our youth program were black children. And so that legacy, I'm certainly, motivated by, and we're building on it. And the better, stronger, safer Chicago that I refer to as we only can get there together and highlighting the soul of who we are. It's an incredible testament to what 40 years of a foundation has laid for a brother like me to lead this city into the 21st century.
Mayor Brandon Johnson, you're a good brother. You're always there when I call you. You respond every time, and I didn't want this first day on WVON 1690 AM to go by without hearing your voice on this program. So thanks for the great welcome to your city. Hope to see you soon, my friend. All the best to you.
For sure. I'm looking forward to you doing a remote satellite broadcast right here in the city of Chicago. And now that you're in Chicago, those sports updates, you're going to have to broaden that. Nobody want to hear about the Rams or the Dodgers.
I ain't mad at you. Chicago's a great sports town. I love you, man. I'll talk to you soon. All the best to you.
Love you too, brother.
Thank you. When we come forward, a conversation with Aaron Neville. You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
Seeking the truth. Speaking the truth. This is the Tavis Smiley Show.
Escalade IQ. This the intro to the all-electric Cadillac, perfected like Zoom. And on a full charge, you get 450 miles without the stop. Haiku. This is what I do. Daddy fat in the Lex since 92. Linked all the way back, panoramic roof. Coming 24-inch rim standard. Ooh, why? Shawty don't kill him. Cadillac diamond in the back, cold chillin'. And when I'm on attack, on the track is no ceiling. Sky's the limit. You hear me? Straight drop, no parachutes. Lay lines like a longitude and latitude. Deal it, beloved, clearly we're hustling. Bussin', truckin'. Cadillac.
For more on the Escalade IQ, visit Cadillac.com.
Available late 2024. GM estimate 450-mile range. On a full charge based on development testing and/or analytical projection. Consistent with the CHA 1634 revision 2017 MCT. Range subject to change prior to production. Annual rates may vary based on service factors, including ambiance, temperature, terrain, battery age, and condition loading, and how you use and maintain your vehicle.
At City National, we listen to you.
I want to expand my business and my legacy.
I want to set up the next generation for success.
I want to see my vision come to life.
I want to feel right at home.
Your goals, passions, vision, future. We want to hear it and work alongside you to achieve it. Visit cmb.com to learn more. City National Bank. Here for our clients and communities.
No young person should ever have to worry about having a safe place to sleep at night, or whether anyone cares about them.
But the reality is, 1 in 10 young adults will experience a form of homelessness this year.
For over 50 years, Covenant House has been helping youth in crisis and giving them the support and tools they need to succeed in life. To learn more, go to covenanthouse.org today. Thank you for caring.
1 in 4 Americans today are living with a disability. I'm one of them. People with disabilities are extremely talented, resilient problem solvers that have so much to offer. And we've got a trusted ally on our side, an organization we can rely on, Easter Seals. Easter Seals is leading the way to full equity, inclusion, and access to healthcare, employment, and education for people with disabilities, families, and communities. That's my Easter Seals. Make it yours.
Learn more and get involved at easterseals.com.
Hello?
Man, where are you? I thought you were coming.
I can't. I'm in bed with the flu.
The flu? Whoa. Grandma's about to crowd surf. Man, I'll call you back.
Don't get stuck at home with the flu. A flu shot is safe, effective, and you can get it at the same time as your COVID-19 vaccine. A flu shot is the best way to prevent the flu and its potentially serious complications. Don't get flu FOMO. Learn more at getmyflushot.org.
Brought to you by the AMA, CDC, and the Ad Council.
Let's get back to more of Tavis Smiley right now.
If you want something to play with, go and find yourself a toy. Baby, my time is too expensive, and I'm not a little boy. If you are serious, don't play with my heart, it makes me furious. But if you want me to love you, then baby I will. Girl, you know I will. Tell it like it is.
Legendary singer and songwriter and Grammy Hall of Famer Aaron Neville joins us now to discuss his new book. Finally got around to writing his memoir. It's called Tell It Like It Is, My Story. For the very first time, Aaron Neville tells his personal story of overcoming poverty, racism, addiction, and loss through faith, family, and music. And I am delighted to have on this program once again Aaron Neville. When he was last on, I said, Aaron, when that book comes out, you got to honor me, man, and come back for another conversation. And he kept his word. Aaron Neville, I love you, man. Good to have you on. How are you today, sir?
I'm all right, man. Long time. How you doing?
I'm good, man. It's been a while since you were last on, but I'm delighted that you kept your word, as I said, and put us on the list. I know everybody's trying to get one of these conversations that you write about now about this book, but thank you for putting us on the list. I am deeply grateful. Let me jump in and make the most of this time that we have, these 40 minutes that we have to sort of unpack. There's a lot in this book, and I can't do justice to it in 40 minutes, but there are a number of things that I want to sort of tease out in this book. Tell It Like It Is, My Story. I teased the audience earlier and said, well, if you're Aaron Neville and you write a book, what else are you going to call it? You got to call it Tell It Like It Is. So the title did not surprise me, not one bit. But let me read from one passage. I'm going to read a few passages. I want to read from this passage right quick. When I was born, I came out knees first and almost killed my mother. That was January 24, 1941. And if that wasn't enough, I butted her in the mouth and cracked her tooth while she was holding me in her loving arms. I guess I wasn't easy even then, but through it all, she still loved me. You gave your mama a hard time, but I want to start this conversation by asking you, as a black man, to tell me about your mother, Aaron Neville.
Hey, man, my mother was, like all my friends used to tell me, I said, man, sure wish your mother was my mother. She had the best understanding, and, you couldn't fool her with nothing, so like, but her family, with her kids, when my father and my uncle used to go on the ships, Merchant Marines, she would take care of us, and, back in the KBLA project, put her on the floor with us, making puzzles and telling us stories and singing to us. I mean, it couldn't have been no better than that. She was a wonderful person. And I always say I like to look at the world through her eyes, because she never frowned. She always had a pleasant look on her face.
What's it mean for you to see the world through the eyes of your mother? That's a beautiful phrase. Never heard it quite put that way. But when you see the world through the eyes of your mother, what do you see?
I see understanding, and that's the word right there. Understanding of people and things, and situations and all. And she was just one of my favorite songs is a song called "My Mother's Eyes." Yeah. One bright and shining light that taught me wrong from right. I found in my mother's eyes.
Yeah, it's a powerful lyric, man. I know that song. It's a powerful, powerful lyric. You mentioned the KBLA, you mentioned the KBLA projects, and for those who know anything about New Orleans, these projects have been famous or infamous for many, many years. Tell me about your story of growing up in the KBLA projects.
Well, we were one of the first families to move back there. I was like 1 year old when we moved there, and it was like we had an oval playground part, like in between the buildings. We had pavement where we could skate or ride our bicycles around it. I mean, it was like heaven. It was a village, because you knew everybody knew you, and if you done something you wasn't supposed to do, you might get 2 or 3 spankings, But it was all about love.
Yeah.
I got my share.
Yeah, I know you did. We'll talk about that a little later in this conversation. You got your share. Give me a sense of what it was like growing up in that particular era. This is segregated America. What's it like growing up in New Orleans? We all love New Orleans. We all love to hang out there. Can't have a better time than in New Orleans. The food and the fun and the people, all the love in New Orleans. What was it like growing up as a black person in New Orleans then, Aaron Neville?
Well, for my first 13 years, I was in the projects, and we were like safe, like it was we didn't know what was going on in the world until I got made 13, and we moved up to the 13th ward, and it all broke loose. Where you go into the store and put your money on the counter, the guy throw the change back at you and stuff like that, And the colored fountains and the colored bathrooms, and on the streetcars or the buses, they had something they call a screen. It was a piece of wood that they put in between the seats, so the white sit in the front and the black sit in the back. So but it was a way of life. You didn't think twice about it. You just done what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, it's fascinating. I listened to that line you used a moment ago, and I never quite thought about it that way. Here you are, moving to the 13th ward when you're 13, but you've been inside the KBLA projects, and I love that phrase that you felt protected in the projects. It wasn't until you left the projects that you got exposed to all that nonsense. But we never tend to think of housing tenements. We never think of projects as being protective of black life. But it's just fascinating to hear you say that you felt protected inside the KBLA. It's when you went out that all this other stuff got in your way, that you got exposed to.
Well, yeah, I made 13 years old and moved uptown, and me and my friend Melvin, how we got to be friends. In the 13th ward, my great aunts had Trinity Church, and they would give picnics to go to Beater Springs or Waveland, Mississippi. I was like about 5 years old the first time I went, but every year I'd go. Me and this guy Melvin was sitting next to each other. We were the same age, feet dangling, wasn't even touching the floor, and we wouldn't say a word to each other. And we would bonded, like blood brothers. So when I got back out in the 13th ward, it was I'm going to go some adventure, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And it was definitely some adventure because me and him would, walk the streets and getting in fights and going to different neighborhoods and stealing cars and all that. I mean, joyriding in the cars.
Yeah.
Because we'd bring them back and leave them close to where we took them.
Yeah, adventure is one word for it, Aaron Neville. We'll stick with that. Adventure. We'll use that word. Since you mentioned church, your fans all know you by the dagger tattoo on your cheek. We'll get to that a little bit later, I suspect. We also know you by that St. Jude medallion earring. And since you mentioned church, let me just ask you right quick, what role church has played in your life, specifically as a young man?
Well, it was big in my life. I went to Catholic school until 8th grade, and went to the Catholic church, and that's where I got introduced to the song Ave Maria, which I never knew the words. I just knew the refrain part, but it used to do something to my heart, and I would sing it sometime. It was just like medicine,
But you got exposed to that, though. You're saying through the church, though.
Yeah.
When you hear that song, or when you sing that song, tell me more. I mean, Ave Maria is an amazing song. Anybody who's ever heard it, I think, has probably been moved by it. But what does it specifically do for you, Aaron Neville?
Like I said, it was like medicine going through my veins, And when me and Linda Ronstadt got together, that was the first thing we sang together because she was Catholic. We sang it in harmony. And when she co-produced my first solo album on there and records with George Massenburg, and that was the first thing she came up there, and you got to do Ave Maria, and she fixed it so I could go to do it in San Francisco at Grace Cathedral, with an all boys choir singing behind me.
Yeah, you can't
put the strings in. It was like a special song.
Yeah, you can't beat that, man. You can't beat Grace Cathedral with a choir behind you, all boys choir, and then you put the strings in. You can't do much better than that. Since you went there, I'm gonna follow you. We're gonna bounce around here, but since you mentioned Linda Ronstadt, let me just step aside and let you talk about that relationship. Any one of your fans knows and celebrates the work that you and Linda Ronstadt have done together. There's a whole chapter in this book dedicated to Linda Ronstadt. So just talk to me about that relationship, personally, musically, about that relationship between you and Linda Ronstadt.
Well, actually, she also was one of my angels, because she came into my life 1984 at the World's Fair in New Orleans, and me and my brothers were playing Pete Fountain's Club. And Linda was playing the amphitheater with Nelson Riddle. And after our show, she came to see us, and somebody told me she was in the audience. So I dedicated a song to her, and I called up on stage. But she told the press later that she don't usually do stuff impromptu like that. She usually had to rehearse, but she wasn't going to say no to Aaron Neville. And after the show, I asked for autographs. She said, "To Aaron, love, I'll sing with you anytime, any place, anywhere, in any key." And so that was the beginning of it. Yeah, so the next year, me and Alvin Toussaint had an organization called New Orleans Artists Against Hunger and Homeless. We were trying to help the hungry people in New Orleans. And we invited her down, and she came running down to do it. And like I said, me and her sang at Alvin Toussaint's studio, Ave Maria in harmony. And her manager, Peter Asher, said, "Oh, man, y'all should do a record together." And I was trying to be cool, but I was geeks. That's all he had. Thing with Linda Ronstadt,
Yeah, and the rest, as they say, is history. The two of them got together. When we come forward, I want to ask Aaron Neville about the music they've made. He tells us about the relationship with Linda Ronstadt, how that got together. But I'm curious to get his take on the music that they've made together. His new memoir is called "Tell It Like It Is, My Story." Aaron Neville is our guest right now on Tavis Smiley.
Hope, agency, dignity. This is Tavis Smiley.
Can you dig it? Come on! If you're like me, 60 and retired, making ends meet, especially here at the supermarket and drugstore, is tough. I'm so blessed to have found BenefitsCheckup.org. It's a free and confidential website from the National Council on Aging that connected me to $1,200 a year in programs that help pay for food, medicine, utilities, and more. Maybe it can help you. BenefitsCheckup.org.
My daughter was diagnosed with a rare malignant rhabdoid tumor on the spine. They sent her straight to St. Jude. My hope was gone. But when you get there, everyone's like, hey, we're not going to give up. And when you see other people not giving up on your child, that makes all the difference in the world. When I found out I didn't have to pay, I was just grateful. They saved my baby's life.
Finding cures, saving children. Learn more at stjude.org.
I'm Mike Moore. Here's the latest from the Black Information Network. African-American Simone Biles is once again making gymnastics history. The 26-year-old became the first woman to do the Yurchenko double pike at the World Gymnastics Championships in Belgium yesterday. Now, to pull off this maneuver, a gymnast needs immense strength and precision to pull their body around twice. The NFL Las Vegas Raiders are releasing star defensive end African-American Chandler Jones. Jones was arrested on Friday in Las Vegas after allegedly violating a domestic violence temporary protective order. The four-time Pro Bowler has been away from the team since Labor Day weekend following multiple social media posts criticizing the team. The team says they hope that he receives the care he needs. And that's the latest. I'm Mike Moore from your 24/7 news source, the Black Information Network and BINnews.com.
In Baldwin Park, we've got a wreck working with a big rig, a pickup, and another vehicle. Everything's moving off to the right shoulder there. 605 northbound before the 10. Some minor delay from Valley Boulevard. A work zone in East LA, 60 westbound Atlantic Boulevard to the 710 with a right lane closure. And working in Hollywood on the 101 South at Gower Street, the on-ramp closed until 2.
At your Amazon Fresh store, you can rely on roasted chicken for $4.97, 2-pound bunches of bananas for 99 cents, French bread for 89 cents, and more. Visit your local Amazon Fresh store for low prices from A to Z and head to amazon.com/savewithfresh to see this week's deals.
Hi, I'm Kyle at Blindster.com. If you're like many people, you may think custom blinds is a job for expensive professionals. Well, at Blindster, if you have a tape measure and a screwdriver, you can install our custom blinds and save big. Plus, we guarantee they'll fit. Blindster.com.
Is this the tether? This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
I'm a bad man.
A good day for both of LA's NFL teams. The Chargers and Rams are 2-2 after close wins. The Chargers beat the Raiders by 7 despite getting shut out in the second half. Linebacker Khalil Mack had 6 sacks, one shy of the NFL single-game record. The Rams get an overtime win at Indianapolis after blowing a 23-point lead. 22-yard touchdown pass from Matthew Stafford to Puka Nacua in OT gave the Rams a walk-off win. The Rams play Philadelphia next Sunday at SoFi. For the second straight year, the Dodgers finished the regular season with 100 wins. The Dodgers are off until Saturday. They will play the winner of the Arizona-Milwaukee series. The best-of-3 series starts on Tuesday. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
Some people won't give you the real talk on drugs, but it's time we know the facts. Fentanyl is killing people. It's a powerful opioid, often made illegally and commonly mixed with illicit drugs. It can even be pressed into counterfeit pills that resemble prescription medications. Just 2 milligrams, about the size of a few grains of sand, can potentially be lethal. This isn't an ad to scare you, but it is an ad to make you think twice. Get the facts. Go to realdealonfentanyl.com. This message is brought to you by the Ad Council.
Hey there, Los Angeles. This is James Lucky Jr., publisher and editor of Los Angeles News Observer.
Are you hungry for news that matters to you in the African American communities of Los Angeles? Well, buckle up, because we got the scoop you've been craving. Stay in the know and never miss a beat with our free weekly publications conveniently available near you. Or hop on the digital wave and become an exclusive subscriber at OGNSC.com. Don't forget to join the party on Instagram and Twitter at OGNSCINC for behind-the-scenes access and sizzling updates. No more FOMO. Let's stay informed, connected, and empowered together.
In Big Tobacco's Fantasyland, children are the future. Here, tobacco companies are committed to higher education, offering scholarships to students who submit essays about the benefits of vaping. The tobacco industry even sponsors summer camps for kids. Don't worry, the tobacco-sponsored programs have been linked to leaving your kids more interested in smoking. In Big Tobacco's Fantasyland, the world's deadliest industry is your child's friend.
See reality at undo.org.
For all of us, this generation and the next, there is simply no place in our lives for litter. And yet, it's everywhere we look. And unfortunately, it does belong to all of us. So, let's come together and create a litter-free, clean California, once and for all. Remember to properly dispose of your trash and recycling. Secure truckloads with tarps to keep debris from flying out. Clean out your car when you're at a gas station. Take pride in your community by organizing a cleanup event. Or join a cleanup event near you. Zero litter is the goal. Join us at cleanca.com. That's cleanca.com. Let's do it together. Brought to you by Caltrans. cleanca.com.
He's rooting for everybody black. Everybody black. Black. More of Tavis Smiley coming your way right now. Right now. Right now. Right now.
Ave Maria, gratia plena, Maria, gratia plena, Maria, gratia plena, Ave, Ave Dominus, Dominus tecum.
Singing was always the thing I loved the best. When I'm singing, that's when I'm happy, more than happy. Whenever I'm singing, I am trying to connect with the angels in heaven. I can make the notes so soft and smooth that it would make an angel's wings flutter and definitely reach God's ears. That's a passage from the new memoir from Aaron Neville. It's called Tell It Like It Is, My Story. Aaron Neville is our guest in this hour. So Aaron, so that's what you're doing all this time. I didn't know. When you're singing, you're trying to connect with the angels in heaven?
Well, yeah, and like I read something about from St. Augustine said that he who sings prays twice. And that always stuck with me, because I definitely be praying, I'm singing.
Yeah.
It's like a cleansing, it's like a cleansing.
Yeah, a cleansing, yeah. Tell me about your style. Whenever people hear your voice, and there are only a handful of voices like this, but the minute you hear it, you know the artist. When we hear your voice, we know that it's Aaron Neville. Tell me about that process of making the notes, as you put it, so soft and so smooth.
Well, it all started back in the KBLA project with my brother Art. He had a doo-wop group, like him and a guy named Issachar Gordon and a guy named Turk. And they used to run me away, get away from me, kid, until they figured I could hold a note. Then they let me sing with them and showed me how to do all the harmonies and all. And so between the doo-wops, my dad and mom had all the Nat King Cole, Charles Brown, stuff like that. And I go to the movies and see the cowboys and learn how to yodel with them, you know. So all that's a combination. Yeah, it's a combination. So I call it vocal gymnastics.
That's what it is. Vocal gymnastics, and can't nobody do it like Aaron Neville. Again, his book is called "Tell It Like It Is." That hit. Let me just do this right quick. So that first #1 hit, "Tell It Like It Is," was released what, 1966? Is that right? 66.
Right.
Yeah,
November '66.
Yeah, take me back to November '66 and that song and how it became your first #1 hit. Just tell me about the song, Aaron.
Well, a guy named Lee Diamond wrote it for me.
Mm-hmm.
And so we went to the studio, and I took maybe about 5 takes. They took the first take, you know, because of the innocence. You know, you're not thinking about it then. You're just doing it. And after that, you're trying to duplicate. But I was had an eye on a up-tempo song that I liked, and my brother Ortiz said, "No, this is right here. Tell it like it is." And sure enough, it came out. It was sold like 40,000 in New Orleans the first week, and went to climbing the charts. And I'm out on the streets, you know, and it was crazy.
What's it like being out on the streets and everybody listening to your track? You just hanging out, and your song is selling like hotcakes.
Yeah, well, you know, I had to get my mind right, sort of anyway.
Yeah, sort of anyway.
And
I like that.
Because I had people coming at me all kind of ways to manage me, and nobody was telling me nothing, you know, that made sense. You know, and this guy named Joe Jones, he was an artist, and he managed the Dixie Cups, a girl group, and Alvin Shine Robinson, a bad guitar playing singer. And he came in and he made the most sense, so he got me my first photo shoot, you know, and got clothes that suits made and music and whatever I needed, you know.
Yeah.
And got me to the Apollo Theater. And that was the highlight, man. I made it to the Apollo. So, yeah.
No, I'm looking at the book, and the cover on the back, the photo on the back is amazing. Speaking of you getting your suit and first getting started, this photo on the back of the book is a pretty amazing photo, Aaron Neville.
Oh, yeah. I was real proud of it.
Yeah, I see. I can tell by the pose. Yeah. By the pose, I'm proud of.
That's me.
Yeah, I can tell. I mentioned earlier that we know you for a couple of things when we see you. We know you for that St. Jude medallion earring that you always wear, but we also know you from that dagger tattoo on your cheek. Tell me about that dagger tattoo on your cheek and why it's there and when it first appeared and what's that about?
Well, it's something I wanted. When I was in the project, guys just had a tattoo like a cross in the middle, right between the eyes. One dude had a skull. This was almost a skull and cross bomb, but my daddy would have killed me. A friend of mine named Jason Pickett, it was my 16th birthday, and I wanted it. He said on my mama back step, he tied a couple of needles around a matchstick and put the Indian ink on and stuck the tattoo in. And when my daddy come home, he made me scrub it with Brillo pad and oxygen soap. The skin came off of the tattoo, and so yeah, it's been with me since I was 16 years old.
Wow. In this book, you are very transparent. You're very open about the good, the bad, and the ugly, the difficult of your life. There's a beautiful poem that opens up the book about how all that you have endured has allowed you to become the man that you are. But you had your bouts with the law. You had your bouts with addiction. Tell me about your bouts with the law as a young man.
Oh, man. But uptown in the 13th Ward, they had the 2nd District Police Station, and we were their playthings. They'd come around our neighborhood and we'd be by the bar or whatever. Get inside, and all that. You could take us to jail. There one guy named Turtle. He messed with me every time he saw me. He'd come around and pop his fingers. Oh, that rock and roll singer. You know you're going to jail. One day he'd come grab me off my mother's porch. I said, man, what I'm going to jail for? We'll think of something by the time we get there. So, man, it was crazy. Yeah. And when they pick you up, it's mandatory 72 hours. And they know you're on drugs and all that, so they know you're going through withdrawal and stuff. And each time the shifts change, they bring you to the central lockup and parade you in front of the lineup. And if you just happen to look like somebody, you can wind up with a charge on you, know?
When we come forward, I want to let Aaron Neville tell you about the time he spent in prison. He spent some time behind bars. He's very honest and open about that in the book. We'll talk about his heroin addiction, his loss through faith, family, and music. It's an honest book. If you're going to write a memoir, you might as well tell the truth. Aaron Neville does in his new book, Tell It Like It Is, My Story. You're listening to Aaron Neville right now on Tavis Smiley.
I can feel the pressure from every side. If you're not gonna help, don't hurt, just pass me by.
What's your quarrel with the world? You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
What is dedication?
My biggest fear in the middle of my addiction was that my kids wouldn't have a father. And I started thinking, you know what? This isn't my story. I definitely had to become a better man to be a better father. It's important to me that my kids are empowered and truly believe that if they can think it, they can do it.
That's dedication. Visit fatherhood.gov to hear more. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Joey from Vermont, a farmer trying to get through the winter. Adriana from South Carolina, a single mother living paycheck to paycheck. Liam from Ohio, an injured father struggling to provide for his family. Hi, I'm Shanola Hampton, and I support the Feeding America network of food banks because they help provide over 6 billion meals to people in need each year. Learn more at feedingamerica.org.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Tired of being locked out of job opportunities and shut down by systemic racism? KBLA stands with you in fighting for the rights of black workers, and we don't black down. The Los Angeles Black Workers Center is a dynamic alliance of workers, organized labor, community-based organizations, clergy, students, and scholars, working collectively to improve the position of the black working class. The LA Black Workers Center takes a comprehensive approach to addressing the black jobs crisis. Their programs promote access to quality jobs, racial equity in hiring and retention, discrimination-free job sites, and they prepare black workers for employment in high-wage, career-track jobs. The Black Workers Center supports workers who need help protecting their rights on the job. They give workers access to quality jobs and remove systemic barriers to employment. To sign up for free career readiness training, get involved in organizing around anti-discrimination, learn about union apprenticeship programs, or sign on to a trade registry, please visit www.lablackworkerscenter.org. That's lablackworkerscenter.org. Together, we can beat the black jobs crisis. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Mom's early Alzheimer's diagnosis was hard to take.
And when I left the oven on, we decided together that it was time to see a doctor and make a plan.
Early detection gave us more time to seek out information and support as a family.
If you or your family are noticing changes, it could be Alzheimer's. Talk about seeing a doctor together. For more information, visit alz.org/time to talk. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
More honesty than you can handle. More empowerment than you can imagine. You're tuned in to Tavis Smiley.
Few people have known up until now the challenging and circuitous road that Aaron Neville took to fame, born in a housing project in New Orleans. We talked about Calliope earlier in this conversation. He is a person of black and Native American heritage. He struggled as a teenage father, working to raise a family while building his career as a musician, surviving a stint in jail for car theft, and for many years battling heroin addiction. He tells all of that in his new book, Tell It Like It Is, My Story. Aaron Neville is our guest right now on Tavis Smiley. Aaron, look back for me right quick. And let me back up for a moment and say this. I've interviewed so many people, as you know, over the course of my career. I've been honored to talk to pretty much everybody. And when these memoirs come out, I'm always struck by people who are willing to be transparent and open and tell the truth in a memoir. And I can always tell the other folk who write a memoir for a variety of reasons, but they really wasn't getting at the truth. They really didn't tell it like it was in their books. I'm glad that you were open and transparent in this book. But tell me about that time in jail for car theft.
Oh, yeah, I was like 18, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And when I wound up going to court, I got busted like about 3 or 4 times for auto theft. So the judge said, "Wow, this is the first time I ever had a 4-time first offender."
Mm.
And he sent me to 6 months in the parish prison. And I remember the first night I was in there, I went to sleep and I had a dream that I had broke out. I was all up and down Bourbon Street everywhere in New Orleans. And all of a sudden I had to get back in or something bad was going to happen. I'm trying everything I could to get back, and I couldn't get back in the jail. And when I woke up and saw the bars, I said, "Thank you."
Yeah, that's a heck of a dream. When you wake up and say, "Thank you, Lord, that I'm still behind these bars." No, I get that. How did you, just watching my time here, after years of battling heroin addiction, how did you ever break that cycle, Aaron Neville?
Well, I broke it a few times, but the heroin, I had got tired of it like 1981. The Neville brothers, we've been touring, and, you know, I was able to get off the riverfront and stop from doing, labor.
Mm-hmm.
And so we played at Tipitina's one night, and Bette Midler was there, and she saw me sing Tell Like It Is. And she slid down off our stool and swooned, like, you know.
Mm.
And she asked us, "Y'all have a contract?" We said, "No." So she called Herb Alpert and Jerry Moss at A&M Records. "Hey, man, check these guys out." So that was 1981. I figured it was time for me to make a change, you know, like, because back then you didn't hear nothing about rehab, because rehab was like for rich people. But
yeah,
our manager at the time, Bill Johnson, he set it up so after we finished doing this album, Fire on the Body, that I would come home and go into a rehab at DePaul. It used to be a sanitarium, a rightful place, you know, sanitarium.
Yeah.
Because the stuff definitely was crazy.
Yeah.
And so.
And in that one visit, you were able to get off of it?
Got all hair on there.
Yeah, and that must have, yeah.
But things happen, you know. Like I was off from, that was 81, 91. The brothers went to Japan, Australia, and New Zealand. And the first night, my back went out on me. And if I had came home, the gigs would have folded because my record was big over there.
Yeah.
So I stayed, and I had to go everywhere in a wheelchair and sit down on the stage and sing. And it was a bulging disc pressing up against a nerve that hurt everything in my body. But once I sat down on the stage and started singing, I didn't think about it, you know.
Yeah.
And then, so when I got back home, the doctor put me on Vicodin.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, I'm hip to the opioids, so I did this for a while, and in 2002 I had to go into a rehab. I told my son I haven't been to a rehab in L.A.
Yeah.
Pasadena called Offering Centers.
Yeah, that addiction thing ain't no joke. Whether it's heroin or Vicodin, you got to fight through it, and I'm glad you did. Our remaining moments with Aaron Neville when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
Interrogating and unpacking. That's what we do around here. You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
What's up, party people? It's your favorite MC's favorite rapper, MC Light here. And we're celebrating 50 years of hip-hop, authentically powered by Cadillac. And we're going to take it way back to where it started. It was only fitting that hip-hop began with teenagers at a back-to-school jam in the rec room of a South Bronx apartment complex by an 18-year-old brother. By the way, I'm also sure he had a Cadillac parked outside. He noticed the energy on the dance floor when he switched between two turntables, extending the beats, repeating the breaks, and never losing the rhythms. And that was the birth of hip-hop. And from that moment, it took off.
For more on how Cadillac is celebrating hip-hop's 50th, visit Cadillac.com/audacity.
As veterans, we're no strangers to helping others.
That's what we were taught, service before self.
But we do have one question for the veterans listening.
When was the last time you reached out for help?
If you or someone you know needs resources, whether it's for stress, finances, employment, or mental health, don't wait. Reach out.
Find more information at va.gov/reach. That's va.gov/reach.
Brought to you by the United States Department of Veterans Affairs and the Ad Council.
The possibility of lung cancer can be pretty scary, especially if you're one of approximately 8 million current or former smokers at high risk. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know that now there's a breakthrough low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early, and it only takes 60 seconds. You stop smoking, now start screening. For an easy quiz to see if you're eligible, visit SaveByTheScan.org. It could save your life. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
JP Morgan Chase is building on the investments in California and around the country to help close the racial wealth gap and build a more equitable future. As part of JP Morgan Chase commitment, they are taking action to help improve financial wealth and access to banking in the Black community, helping more people open low-cost checking and savings accounts, hosting community seminars with supporting Black-led institutions by building awareness about financial investments, hiring community managers, and opening community center branches like Crenshaw, Inglewood, in downtown LA. Visit today, jpmorganchase.com/racial equity. Again, jpmorganchase.com/racial equity. Get the tools to help reach your financial goals. Visit today, jpmorganchase.com/racial equity. Again, jpmorganchase.com/racial equity.
Helping to make you the most knowledgeable person in your circle of friends. This is Tavis Smiley.
I told you I couldn't do justice to Aaron Neville's memoir in even 60 minutes. Tell It Like It Is. My Story is the new book from Aaron Neville. It's been fascinating to hear him talk about all the angels in his life. His mother, his first wife, his wife now, his sister. He writes about that in the book. You heard him talk about Linda Ronstadt and Bette Midler. So many angels in his life. There's a poem. And I'm not sure I want to read Aaron Neville's stuff, but let me take my best stab at it. This is a poem written by Aaron Neville. For those who listen to this program regularly, you've heard Aaron on this program before, and he's read some of his poetry for us on this program. But this is the poem that begins the book. It's the first page of the book, Tell It Like It Is, My Story by Aaron Neville. I've walked through this world sometimes without a friend. My life has been up and down, been close to an end. But I've been through the mill, and I've paid my dues, walked so many miles in different people's shoes. But I've been through the fire, and I've walked in the rain. I felt the joy and endured the pain. Once I was a schemer, but I always was a dreamer. But it took me who I was and where I've been to make me who I am. That's a proud piece of work, Aaron Neville.
Well, it's a song also, you know.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, it's a To Make Me Who I Am is it's on the album entitled that To Make Me Who I Am.
Yeah, no, it's a beautiful, beautiful piece, and I love, and I cracked the book open when I first got it, that you started the book with that. I've enjoyed this conversation, Aaron Neville, as I always do whenever we get a chance to hang out. The book is called Tell It Like It Is, Aaron Neville. I want to close with Aaron singing a little bit of Amazing Grace. You talk in the book about why you love this song so much. Tell me quickly why you love Amazing Grace, Aaron Neville.
Oh, it's like my testimony.
Mm-hmm.
You know, definitely saved me.
Yeah, there you go. And there you have it. Aaron Neville, thanks for the book. Congratulations on it. Good to have you on this program. Thank you for your time. I appreciate you, sir.
Yes, It's been a pleasure, Tavis.
All the best to you, my friend. Just like that, 3 hours gone. We thank once again WVON 1690 AM for picking up the Tavis Smiley Show officially today. Look forward to giving you some great shows in the months and years to come. To all you who listen today, thank you for checking us out. That's our show for today. Until tomorrow, thanks for listening to Tavis Smiley, and as always, keep the faith.
Like me. I once was lost. Oh, now I'm found. I was blind. Oh, but now I see. Through many days, just toils and snares, I have already come on.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Mike Moore. Here's the latest from the Black Information Network. New Jersey Senator Bob Menendez is getting a pass on having to appear at a court hearing in New York City today. New Jersey's senior senator was supposed to